Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Paris, and today we will be talking about all the books that I read in the month of July. July was a pretty good month for me. A lot of months lately I've been ending off the month with a 5-star read. I don't know if that's just God blessing me with 5 stars at the end of every month so that I can end off these videos in a very good mood. Let's talk about them because I am very excited. I am very happy. I believe my TBR was like around 10 books for the month. I read 7 of them, so I'm very proud of myself, and I only read 1 book that was not on my TBR, so I hope everyone's proud of me. Round of applause. I had 11 books on my TBR, and one of them I ended up mid-month moving it to next month. I'm gonna be reading off my phone, so don't mind because my memory is not serving me well today. So the first one is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I really just thought that this book was really cute. I gave this book a 4 stars, and this is a small town romance. Grumpy Sunshine as well. At the beginning I was a little bit annoyed that it was Grumpy Sunshine because I feel like so many small town romances have the Grumpy Sunshine trope, and it's the same thing where it's like the main male character, he's either like a guy who hates relationships, or he was once married, or he had a fiance that ran away from him and now he's just heartbroken and he's swearing off relationships type of thing. That was basically the same thing that happened here. When in Rome is about Amelia, who is a pop star. She's very famous. She's getting overwhelmed by the fame and she kind of just wants a break for a bit, and she runs away to Rome, Kentucky. Her car breaks down in front of this house, and the house is Noah's house. Noah lets her stay the night, and it goes from there. I was a little bit upset that there were so many times in the book where the characters mentioned how much time it had been since Amelia and Noah met, and it kept reminding me that they barely knew each other. She was not even there for that long and they basically fell in love. Other than that, I felt like the book was super cute. I rated it 4 stars because I just genuinely enjoyed the book. Next, I read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, and this is the 2nd book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. If you don't know what the series is about, it's about 3 brothers. Their grandpa, very well off, he passes away and he leaves them inheritance. They have to do specific things to obtain their inheritance. This one is about Declan. For his conditions from his grandfather, he was supposed to get married and have a kid, basically just settle down. Iris is his assistant, and she ends up in a situation where she ends up being that fake wife, and I love me a marriage of convenience. I loved that this book went straight into the storyline. I loved it. I really did love it. I did not think I was gonna like it because I did not really enjoy the fine print. The 3rd act conflict really upset me. I felt like it was really annoying. It was one of those things that didn't have to be as big as it was. Like, once again, miscommunication takes the trophy and makes the book piss you off because it was just, once again, you guys could have really just had a conversation rather than completely calling things off. I had to keep reminding myself it's fiction. It's okay. I was really not sure if I wanted to give this like a 3.75 because I feel like 3 is too low, 3.5 feels too low as well, but then I think I'm just gonna give it a 4. I feel like when I do my 0.25 and 0.75, that's when I'm trying to be very critical of the book. I don't want to be overly critical. I actually enjoyed the book. I couldn't get enough. I really did enjoy it. Oh, I forgot 1 book up there. How could I forget? I read A Court of Frost and Starlight from the ACOTAR series. This is like book 3.5. This one comes after A Court of Wings and Ruin. I rated this book a 4 star because I just really enjoyed it. It was so wholesome. I love the inner circle. I love Cassian, Azriel, Moore. I feel like this book was not BS. There was a slight point of it. One, to give it to the readers to just kind of enjoy their favorite characters, but also it really bridged the gap between A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames. Once you read A Court of Silver Flames, you kind of understand why this book was what it was. It almost gives you like a sneak peek of what you're going to be dealing with in the next book. My heart really went out to Nesta. I know a lot of people probably didn't like her during this time, but just kind of understanding her and her situation, my heart was really going out to her in this one. I felt really bad for her. If she wrote something like this again, I would read it. I would not complain about it whatsoever. I didn't mention, I actually read A Court of Frost and Starlight in my What I Read in a Week video. So if you want to watch that, you can check that out. And then I read this one as well. If you already watched those, you already know my ratings for these books. So yeah, I read Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert, and this book I gave 3 stars. It was cute. It's a YA romance. It's kind of like enemies. I don't want to say enemies to lovers. It's about Brad and Celine, and they were once like really best friends. Their mothers are also best friends, but then Celine and Brad fall out and they both get accepted into this program. They have to work together, so they kind of start to build this friendship, and they kind of wonder like why they stop being friends, and obviously one thing leads to another. I wasn't too connected to these characters, but I was interested to see where the story went. I am curious to read Talia Hibbert's adult books though, because maybe I'll feel a little more connected to the characters. YA, fantasy, and dystopian are different, because I feel like when you're put into a fantasy or a dystopian world, the characters are kind of like mature because of what they experience. I don't know. It was good, it was cute. It just didn't do anything else for me. Next, I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which again also was in my reading vlog, and I loved this book. I absolutely ate up this book. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I only read Part of Your World because I wanted to read yours truly, and I ended up coming out of this book rating it a 4.5. It was so cute. Like, I cannot say more. Part of Your World is about Alexis and Daniel, and this is a small town age gap romance, but the woman was older. There was so much character development for her. There was so much growth with her. She learned a lot about her life having gone to this small town, kind of realizing how privileged she is. Thankfully, this was not a small town where the guy was a grump, because he was just an absolute golden retriever. He was just the sweetest, smiling all the time type of man. I never see people talk about Daniel Grant, but I think he is a top tier book boyfriend. It definitely is a bit more on the insta love side, but I will say this was like a well done insta love. It just flowed so well that you don't really take in that it's almost kind of an insta love story. Abby Jimenez bodied the insta love, because I usually feel like sometimes insta love can be a little bit cringy, but this was done so well. I'm so excited to get into yours truly. I really hope it lives up to Part of Your World. Next, I went into Legendary by Stephanie Garber, and this is the second book in the Caraval trilogy, and let me tell you, I loved this one. I gave Legendary a 4.5, which kind of shocks me, but I loved it. In Caraval, Scarlett is the main character. In this book, we are following Donatella, which is Scarlett's sister. This is their life following the first game of Caraval. I really liked Tella. I feel like she was more of the risk taker. Tella was definitely the more cutthroat character. She did not take crap from anybody. I also love Dante. In this book, we are introduced to the Prince of Hearts, who is the main male character in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I was really excited to see his backstory and how Stephanie Garber introduced him originally. Just like Caraval, it is more on the slower side, but because it's more fixated on riddles and twists and turns and mystery, I feel like that's kind of why it feels a little bit slow sometimes. This one does have a little bit more of a romance than the first one did. I found that there was a lot more world building in this one as well. Like, you kind of, it's almost like you're entering a new world. You're still in the same world, but we kind of learn more about what is outside of the game of Caraval, because in the first one we're very much in the game the entire time, but this one we get to learn more about their world, the world that they live in, and I thought that was really fun and I really enjoyed it. After reading Legendary, I went and read Finale, and this is the third and final book in the Caraval trilogy. This is the one book that was not on my TBR for July, but nonetheless I still went and read it. I gave this one a 4 because I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Legendary, but it was still really good. It definitely felt a bit rushed around the end of the book, and I felt like there were some things that were left unanswered. I did feel like the main point of the overall trilogy was love. How love moves, how it controls us, what it makes us sacrifice, and all of those types of things. Every single book leads back to the idea of love, which I thought was really cool. You kind of see that in the last book, and then you reflect on everything you've read and you realize it really is just about love and what people will do for love. I thought that was really cool. For a trilogy that's not focused on romance too much, the overall message is what people will do for love. The final book that I read this month, I just finished it this morning. We see She Is Thick. I still have so much tabbing to do because I read most of this book on my Kindle, but I gave this a 5-star. If you do the math, that means I gave every single book except for the novella 5 stars. Let's just start by saying this book, A Court of Silver Flames, is about Nesta. I have never seen such amazing character development from a character before. We watched this woman heal and overcome so much, and I thought it was such a beautiful story. There was a lot of discussion of mental health and women suffering from things and overcoming those traumas, and I thought it was so beautiful, especially watching Nesta kind of find her own found family. There's a lot of sisterhood in this book, which I really love. Around the 85% mark, we get some Hunger Games vibes, which was really exciting. The last sentence of chapter 72, I was really happy to see like Feyre and Rhysand within this book. However, I need another little one of these, a little novella of Feyre's point of view throughout this entire book. I feel like there was a reason why we had to read Feyre's experience of something specific through Nesta's point of view for a specific reason, which you figure out around the end. And I have to add, I know this book is more on the spicy side compared to the other books. Nesta and her love interest in this book do have some spicy scenes, and they're very descriptive. I understand why with Nesta's story it is like that. She was dealing with some unhealthy coping mechanisms, and she is also different from her sister. So I think we're just getting the point of view of her and kind of seeing what she's like. This is a different character, so I think Sarah J Maas was just trying to tell a different story. So those are all the books that I read this month. I'm so glad that I finally got a lot of books that I wanted read off of my chest and off of my TBR, and I'm excited to go into this next month and do the same thing again. The only 2 books that I did not read this month were The Serpent and the Wings of the Night and Before I Let Go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, if you are not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. Also give this video a like. If you have read any of these books or if they are on your TBR, please let me know, and I will see you in the next one.